Today I'm going to show you guys how to fix a headlight on a 2012 Buick Regal GS. It's one of the HID xenon headlight housings. Normally these are about $1,400 to get the part from the dealer, plus a couple hundred in labor if you're going to pay someone else to put them in for you. And I was able to fix mine for under $50. And the only things that you're going to need to do it are right here. You're for sure going to need this $10 tube of silicone caulk. You can get those at any auto parts store. And you're going to need one of these ballasts, because if you got water in your headlight like I did and it got in the ballast, you're going to need a new one of these. And fortunately I was able to find a car at a salvage yard and pull a pair of these off the two headlights, and I paid 15 bucks for each of them. Normally they're about 200 online if you're going to get the OEM part. You can get aftermarket ones, but I've heard pretty bad reviews on them. A lot of times they don't last, so I just wanted to get something that was OEM, but I didn't necessarily want to order a new one for it because I didn't need it. And then I also ended up needing one of these fuses here. You can just get a box. They're about a buck a piece, so you can get a pack of 5 for 5 bucks at AutoZone or any other auto parts store, wherever you are. So the issue that I had was there was water that was in the headlight housing, and it was because the seal up on the top here went bad. There were 2 points where I had a leak, one right there and one right up here. So when I would drive in the rain, or I would wash the car, or it would ever get wet, all the water would then go through there. It would run down the inside of the lens, and then it would pool up in the back, and your ballast mounts up underneath there. And then once the water gets in the ballast, it's game over and your light goes out. So the LED lights on the side and the marker lights were still working, so I knew that there was still power going to the headlight, so I didn't have to throw the whole headlight housing out like my mechanic thought originally, because he thought that when the seal went bad that everything was built into the light and you couldn't fix any of that, because obviously GM wants you to buy a new headlight housing. So what I did was I pulled the cover. Once I pulled the headlight out of here, I pulled the back cover off. First I did a leak test. You can just put some soap and water in a bucket, get some foam, take the foam, cover all the seams up here around the light, and then if you have any kind of an air gun or an air compressor, just put the gun through one of these openings here. You can do it through here, or you can do it through the one for the marker light, which is a little bit smaller, so that might be easier to, you know, keep the air from escaping. But if you can kind of seal it off as best you can and then blow the air in there, what you'll find is that where the seal breaks, you're going to start getting air bubbles that will form, so you'll know right where your seals failed. So I'll just show you quick here, because I already have the lights back on. I didn't want to take them off again. There's 3 fasteners inside the fender here that you got to take off to get that front bumper off. There's one right here by my finger, and then there's 2 more underneath. And then there's a bunch of them in the top here. I apologize for my camera because it's getting a little bit dark and I don't have the greatest phone. So this is kind of the best I can do right now. And then to get the headlight housing out, you have to take out this bolt right here on that top bracket. And then there's a few on the inside that you have to take off. There's one that goes in the side right here of the housing. There's a bracket underneath where there's one going sideways through here. You got to pull that off. And then there's 2 more on a plastic clip that runs here. So those are actually kind of like in this area here. You'll see 2 of those. And then you have to unbuckle this clip back here. There's a little thing where it snaps in place, and once you pull that out of there, then your headlight can slide out. And there's also another one. There's another bracket on the inside right here, and there's a bolt that goes vertically in here. You got to pull that one out too. Once you get all those out, you can pop the headlight off and then do the leak test and then reseal it. So what I did to seal it was I just used that silicone caulk, ran a bead from the corner all the way around the top and then all the way down to the bottom on the other side here. I didn't worry about underneath because you're really not going to get water under there, and the water's not going to go up into the light. So you don't really even need to worry about that. It's basically just the top where you're going to get the water coming in. So there is a little bit of a gap where they staple the lens and the housing together. You can feel it, and you can fit like a good portion of your finger in there. So you got to lay a pretty thick bead, and you got to get it to cover all of that gap in there. So unfortunately, it's not like other headlights where you can take the lens off and just put butyl tape or something on there, where once you heat it up, it'll reseal everything, and then you can just throw the lens back on. So you kind of have to just make a new seal over top of the entire existing seal to keep all the water out. So the last thing that you are definitely going to want to check, though, if your light still doesn't come on after you dry it out and you clean it, you're definitely going to want to check your fuses. Now, there's a few right here for the lights. Number 50, right in the middle here, if it's your driver's side light, that's the one that powers your high and low beam bulb. I actually ordered another pair of aftermarket lights because after I cleaned this one out and dried it, the light quit working, even with the new ballast and everything resealed and dried out. So when I put the new ones on, that low and high beam didn't come on either on the new headlights, which I wasn't really happy with those anyway because they were kind of cheap. So I ended up returning those to the seller. They handled everything pretty professionally, so I was definitely happy with that service that they provided there. So before you order another pair of headlights, if you don't get the light bulb to come back on and you know that you're getting power to it, then if these LEDs and the marker lights are still running but this one is not, then you know it's not the whole headlight housing, it's probably the fuse, and that's only going to cost you like $5 to get a pack of those things. And if you don't have a tester and the one for that light is blown, odds are, if you do what I did and you just pull one out of this spot right here in 51 and you just move it over to 50 and your light comes back on, you can just go get another fuse and replace them. So it's really easy to do, and hopefully that'll save you a huge amount of money like it did for me. Everything's been working great on them so far. I haven't had any issues. So if you guys have the same problem and you don't want to spend all of that money to buy new housing, I would definitely try fixing it yourself because it's not that hard to do.